Hi everybody, this is Alma coming to you from Long Beach, California. Today is Saturday, May 16th of the year 2020, and this is my 20th FlossTube. So welcome to you all to Alma's Little Wonders. Welcome back to all of you returning viewers and subscribers. Thank you as ever for your continuing support and for all your lovely comments. I've fallen behind on answering comments, and I do apologize for it, but I will make an effort to get caught up this week because I really do appreciate receiving feedback, and just anytime you guys do leave comments, they always make me smile, so I do want to acknowledge it. So I promise that they are appreciated. It's been a time. We just got that the LA County just announced a few days ago that our stay-at-home orders are to be extended until the end of July. So yeah, that wasn't very good to hear. But I do want to make an effort to get caught up. So I promise to do that this week. And I hope that you're all staying safe and sound, and taking precautions as necessary. I hope that you're finding time to do what you love, to relax and kind of decompress. We're still okay here, thank goodness. Everything's still fine. We're kind of adjusting, and trying to adjust, just make plans and adjust to the news that we just received earlier this week. So without further ado, let's get to the stitching. We are still very much in the midst of Maynia, so happy Maynia to all of you that are participating. And if you're not participating, then I hope that you're still enjoying everybody else go crazy as they're trying to keep up with their Maynia plans. If this is the first time tuning in, if you're not familiar with what Maynia is, it is an event that started back in 2015. It was originally a Facebook group, and the purpose is the original purpose was to start 15 projects in the month of May, and over time that's evolved. Some people will start one project a day for the entire month of May. Other people choose to do whip Maynia, so they just focus on existing projects or previous Maynia starts. Some people do monogamania. I think that's what they call it, monogamous. So they focus on one whip for the entire month of May. The purpose is to just kind of push yourself, and do something that you don't normally do. So on my part, that means focusing on one project for multiple days at a time. And I have found that the sweet spot for me is 3 days. That's as long as it takes for me to kind of feel burnt out. And the reason I notice this is because when I'm working, so when Maynia first started, it started on a Friday, so I was okay with working on one whip for those 3 days. But then when the weekdays came around and I needed to work on something for 5 days straight, that's like around Wednesday, that's when I started getting burnt out. So for the whip, so Hogwarts was the one that got those 3 days. That was my first focus, so it got 3 days focus for that weekend, and then I picked it up again the following weekend, and it gave it the last 2 days. So I did promise you guys a page finish, and for those of you that don't know, this is my Hogwarts castle piece. The pattern is by the Stitching Girl on Etsy. I did buy this back in 2016, so it's no longer listed in her shop. Like I bought it in 2016, and then I didn't start it until 2018, so go figure. But I did pick it up again last weekend, and I did get that page finished. So this is, ooh, this is where we're at right now. Once I reached that page finish, I did go a little over 66,000 stitches done total. And the page that I was focusing on was the Great Hall, which was right here. There was a lot of confetti involved, and as you know, as it goes with confetti, sometimes I questioned, like, you know, the color choices, because sometimes I would work with like dark teals or dark pinks, but you know, once you look at it from afar, it makes perfect sense. So the next focus will be the partial page down here at the bottom, and then I'll go ahead and do the page at the top, which will be the it's going to be the like the bottom of this main tower right here. So there's still a lot of lights, because that's also the whatchamacallit, I'm blanking on the courtyard. There we go. It's the courtyard, so there's going to be like the little wall over there, and some lights to go with it as well. So I'm very excited. This is still only 54% done, believe it or not, so I still have plenty to go on that piece, but I do hope to still be able to reach my goal of getting at least 80,000 stitches done by the end of the year. I'm at 66K, so hopefully 80K will not be much of a problem. So I did work on that. I worked on that over the weekend, and then my weekday focus was watercolor floral. So this is a pattern by Stitchery Stitch. Yeah, so Etsy shop link is over here, and I'll go ahead and link this. I'll link the Stitching Girls shop as well. She does have some really cool patterns. I bought that, and I bought like 3 others. So she has really cool patterns. So I'll link her shop as well. And this is still available. Last time I checked, which was last week when I was uploading the videos. So this was also a Whip Go call. This was the first Whip Go call for the month of May. The Whip Go goal that I gave myself was 500 stitches. So I was able to meet that. I got 1,300 stitches done on this piece. It's a bit of a slow stitch. The pattern, as much as I love the finished product image, it's a little bit of a slow stitch. The pattern is in color. So what she does is she has it in color, and then she puts the symbol on top of the color so that you can still tell which one is which. But for me, that's still a little bit confusing, because a lot, like this leaf has like over a dozen different yellows, and you know, they all look kind of the same. So that for me was a little bit trippy. Like I could see, like my eyes saw the same color, but then there were different symbols on top of it. So so that's why I wasn't able to get that much done. The 1,300 stitches were essentially this entire section right here. This was all blank when I first started at the beginning of the week. I also worked on this leaf on the side, and there were some confetti stitches to be done to finish these two leaves as well. So I worked on this for a few days, and then come Thursday I decided to stop. So I don't know if, you know, Maynia fail, I don't know if you want to call it that. I personally don't consider it a fail. This hadn't really gotten any work done all year, so it got 1,300 stitches done in 5 days. So that's still progress. The goal for the year is to finish a page. So I don't have that much left to do. I just have to finish this section right here, and then just finish the confetti that's kind of hidden all throughout. it's not much. I think it may be another 500 or 600 stitches, so I can totally do that. I'm probably gonna use this for homework prompts come in like in June, for magical stitches or enchanted stitching, because that way I can go ahead and get more progress, and I can knock that goal off my checklist. The second whip go call for the month was my Heaven and Earth Designs chart. This is June, and it is, the artwork is by Anna Dittman. Her goal was a little bit loftier for the month of June. I told myself I was going to do 2,000 stitches when she was called. So I am halfway done. I am at a little under halfway done. I'm at 990 stitches. And I have been using this for homework prompts. I'm trying to get so that the lighting doesn't affect the stitching, but it's kind of worked all over the place. I'm still just working on the 2 main colors for the page, the monthly goal is, because the monthly goal is 2,000, the yearly goal is I think 10,000 for this piece. So I'm sure I can do it. I did get a park finish on her, and that was at like 5,500 stitches, so because I had already started her before starting the park, but yeah, I'm at 5,500 stitches more or less. I think it's like 58 now, 5,800. So getting 10,000 shouldn't be a problem either. So the piece that I decided to pick up, which was kind of a surprise, I wasn't really expecting, I wasn't planning on starting it. This was when I was getting burnt out on watercolor. I picked up Katrina by Yanni Stitcher. She's a fellow Mexican FlossTuber and designer, and yeah, I saw this design. Lady Wing Designs on Sequia is stitching another piece of hers called Mexicanita, which is Little Mexican Girl. So I thought, ooh, I want to start her. Like I want to work on her eventually. So Yanni does sell her patterns, but she doesn't have an Etsy shop. If you're interested in buying her patterns, you have to message her via Instagram. And that's when I saw Katrina as well. So I was like, ooh, okay, but so yeah, so I finally got around to starting her, and this is what I have done. So you can't really tell, but there's also some white over here of the face paint. So the way that Yanni has charted Katrina is the called for fabric is white, which is interesting because it looks like the model is stitched on something similar to mine, which is why I liked it. And then the face is just stitched in white, but the actual chart itself, it's charted for white fabric. So if you are going to be using a different color fabric, you have to go ahead and just do the face paint. So I started on here, and then I just jumped over here to do the paper mache flags. And I'm not using the call for colors. That's another thing, is I'm gonna go ahead and use this as my D-stash, as another D-stash piece. So I just went through and found similar colors. So yeah, so I'm kind of using pretty much as similar shades as possible. The only major change that I made was for a couple of the paper mache flags, she uses like a dark brownish purplish color. I forget what color it is. but I just decided, you know, like these flags are supposed to be like bright colors, so I decided to go ahead and use the green instead. And yeah, I don't necessarily, again, this was a surprise start. I called it my Maynia wild card. So I don't necessarily have any goals set in mind for this. I'm just going to stitch, like I was stitching on this while my boyfriend was playing Final Fantasy. It's like we're so close to finishing that game, but yeah, so I wasn't counting stitches. I wasn't really doing much of anything with it. So yeah, so I'm not going to, this is going to be a relaxing piece. I'm not going to give any goals. I'll just stitch on it whenever, you know, whenever if a prompt calls for it, I'll try, but there's so much white space involved that I you know, I'm spoiled. I can't, not that I can't, but I just don't like counting stitches unless it's on full coverage, because those are a little bit easier because you just go by the 10 by 10 blocks. But if a prompt calls for it, sure, I'll use it, but I'll try to just do this as, you know, low stress whip. That's what I worked on this week. Today is the first day of the next set of 5 days, so I did start on my next whip. This is going to be my last whip focus for the month of May. This is my Teacup display, and it's a Design Works kit based on Joan Elliott's design, and I'm very, very close to it. I did start on it this morning before you know, time got away with me. Before I knew it, I was like, oh wait, I need to film. So I did go ahead and start. As you can see, I just have the teacup and saucer to go. So I really hope to get a lot done over the next 5 days. Because I'm so close to finishing. I'm so close to finishing. I kind of didn't realize until like I was thinking about it. Besides the back stitching, I don't think it'll be much of a problem, because it's just the same colors. It's just the same 4 colors that are used over and over. And I don't know if you can tell, but the shades actually work. I was like, because I've had plenty of issues with the colors in this piece, because they're not exactly like the product image. Like this is using a lot more pastel, like, you know, it's a China pattern, so those have like a specific shades of blue involved, and this is like sky blue and navy blue, and I'm like, really? But they do work well together, I must admit. But yeah, so this is gonna be my focus piece for the first 5 days, and then on the 21st, I'm starting my official Maynia start. This is Midnight Stroll. It's the mini version, so it is mini Midnight Stroll. It's another Heaven and Earth Designs piece. The artwork is by Julie Fain, is I think how you say her name. I'm gonna be starting this with test stitches. So we're very excited. She loves purple, and I loved this design as well. So we're both gonna be starting that later on in the week. So we're very excited. And yeah, so hopefully, but next time I see you, or you see me, we spend time together. You'll see the Teacup display and Midnight Stroll, and I'll continue to work on June as well, since she is the whip go call, and I want to just be able to finish that before anything else happens. So I'll continue to work on her, and I was able to do my my challenge groups Magical Stitches and Enchanted Stitching, as I mentioned last week, they're both kind of adapting. They're allowing for Maynia participants to kind of be able to use their set plans for Maynia for the homework assignments. So last week, Magical Stitches gave you the option of doing 50 stitches on each prompt if you're using a new start, or 100 stitches if it's an already existing whip. Enchanted Stitching is giving us a free-for-all, well, not a free-for-all per se, but for some of the prompts, they're letting us choose our own movie. And for Enchanted Stitching, instead of giving us weekly prompts, they just give us monthly prompts. And then, you know, there are larger stitch counts, but you essentially have all month to do them all, or as many as possible. So I did use, for Enchanted Stitching, I used the watercolor piece. I used it for a couple of the prompts. We had one where each admin chooses their favorite song. So one of them chose Colors of the Wind, and I chose that because it's really colorful. And they're unusual colors, like you have gold leaves as opposed to green. So I just used that for that prompt, and I used this for there's a section that's dedicated to the flower festival, so you had to work on a whip with flowers. So I used this for that prompt as well. And then June I also used for Tale. So another admin chose Tale as Old as Time, so I used June for that because it has the rose. And then for the flower festival, we had to work on a prompt or work on a whip that had colors that made us happy. So June is a bunch of bright yellows and greens, and that makes me happy. So I used that for that. And then Magical Stitches was just, you had to stitch 1,000 stitches on as many whips as you wanted, as long as they were 100 stitch increments. So you could do 10 whips and do 100 stitches on each. I just went with watercolor floral and just used 1,000 stitches on watercolor for that prompt. But I did do a extra credit assignment on June because we needed to work on a whip with a lady. So I just used June for that. So yeah, it's fun. I'm happy. I wasn't counting on being able to do the Magical Stitches or Enchanted Stitching prompts during Maynia. So I'm really happy and thankful that the admins chose, or they kept that in mind, and they're being a little bit more flexible with the prompts so they can give us more freedom. So I'm really happy about that. And I'm also doing the Stitchy Quest, the Lord of the Rings stitching challenge group. They're doing something similar as well. For one of the tasks right now we're still in the Hobbit, and we needed to work on a whip that had the color of each of the characters' cloak. So if they're wearing a purple cloak, you needed to do 100 stitches on purple for that character. And if you didn't have that color, you just had to do double. So I kept using my whips for those as well, mostly penalty stitches, because it was like reds, and there was one that was like blue, and I wasn't working with those colors. So yeah, so I was happy. It made me happy to still be able to participate in my challenge groups using my Maynia plans. So yeah, so I hope that continues. I hope that Magical Stitches and the Stitchy Quest challenge do continue to kind of be a little bit more open and flexible about the prompts. And if not, then it is what it is. I'll continue to work on my own goals. But yeah, that is all the stitching that I have for you today. I do want to give a shout out to Becca. She's Sambry Stitches on both Instagram and FlossTube. So she's wonderful. She has been doing Zoom meetups twice a week for us, and they're the highlight of my week. I love talking to those ladies, and they're all super nice. So I do want to give her a shout out, and you should check her out. She does some fantastic finishing, guys. Like she's incredible. I wish I had that talent. For me, pretty much if it's not getting framed, it's not getting finished at all. I should venture out though. That's something I should do. But yeah, thank you, Becca, for, if you're watching this, thank you very much for hosting those meetings, because they really have helped during these times of, you know, social distancing. And yeah, you should also, I mentioned them earlier, but if you haven't already, you should check out Test Stitches and Lady Wings Designs as well, because they do have some pretty awesome cross stitching available to them as well. And I also wanted to mention her name is Michelle. She's a Southern Doxy Stitcher, I think, here in Instagram. I'll go ahead and link her her Instagram below, but she was kind enough to send me, so she's the one that made this gram guard. So it's backwards, but whatever. So she made these gram guards. I don't think she's selling them yet, but it was nice of her to go ahead and send me them. She sent me like 3. She sent me this one, and she also sent me this gray one. I love this so much. Like, it's so colorful. This was on my Peter Pan piece. But I'm leaving that out to kind of get stretched out since I'm not working on it. I don't like leaving my whips in their Q-snaps, you know, when they're not being worked on, to avoid creases and such. But she also made this. They're pretty tight, so they're small enough so they cover the Q-snap, but it's not, they're not big enough to like tuck fabric in for the most part. The purple one might be, but this one's just straight up just cover the Q-snap. But it's really cute. I love it so much. So thank you, Michelle, for these. And yeah, so that's it. I just wanted to mention that stitchy kindness. And yeah, I hope you guys have a fantastic week. I hope that you find time to do the thing you love, the thing that makes you happy and brings you peace. So until next time, happy stitching, guys. Bye.